Indian leadership has often requested the world to look at India from a civilizational lens. If one looks at India's contribution to the world over centuries, whether it is the concept of zero or whether it is plastic surgery or how it started, one can say that India has been an open source nation, if I may call it that, over centuries. How does the civilizational perspective really facilitate the world to engage with India from a more strategic perspective?
Very interesting question, I must say. If you look at India, what, for example, immediately comes to mind is 1/6 of humanity. And whatever there are, let's say, global issues, whether they are climate change or peace and security or pandemic or any big issues, I think whatever India contributes has global relevance. So that's a fact. Now, if we see, you talked about the civilizational context, and India is one of the very few ancient civilizations. So this civilization has been there for a very long time, millennia. And there has been a consciousness about India among the other civilizations and other peoples from millennia. So breakthroughs in faiths or new spiritual thought or mathematics or calculus or metallurgy or astronomy, all these were known outside India. There are several recorded instances of scholars from other, you could call civilizations or societies, coming to India to study and to see how things were being done. There are ancient universities of Takshila and Nalanda where there were thousands of scholars studying at a point of time and from all over the world. India was a major economy till a few hundred years ago. India was among the dominant economies. That again was a magnet for others. There were many things which which made India stand out in those centuries. If you see now, after independence again, we are now a very fast growing economy, a major economy. We have scientific breakthroughs to our scientists have been able to send rockets to the moon and Mars. We have working with nuclear technology, biotechnology, IT. All these things are, again, things which are of relevance when you talk about the strategic engagement and so on. And there is a continuity. India was a maritime power earlier, and India again has a good maritime strength. We are able to provide assistance whenever there is required in our, for example, extended neighborhood. So all these, there has been a continuity in terms of the civilizational ethos, thoughts, and how we are perceived now. If you look at some of the major breakthroughs in recent times, like human rights or gender equality, again, these have been embedded in the Indian civilizational thought. Gender equality, there was always in the Indian tradition equality among the two, among the male and the female aspect. If you see, when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was being adopted, even a year before our independence, the Indian delegate, Mrs. Hansa Mehta, was the one who introduced, who replaced the words that all men are equal or born free and equal to all human beings. Yeah. And those are very transformational changes, and they have guided future constitutions, future other such declarations. If we look at other debates through recent decades, decolonization, anti-apartheid, a fairer equity and economic system, climate change, vaccine equity, all these are very relevant, and they come from a civilizational ethos of wanting good for everybody and having no discrimination. I could even also mention the International Day of Yoga, which is coming up very soon. So there is a widespread recognition of these thoughts and these values which have defined India for a very long time. If we look at our development partnership efforts with solidarity with our partners in Africa and many other nations, developing countries, we have worked with them according to their priorities because we share similar experiences and we do not work with any conditions. So these are different models. So and this is, I think, recognized very well. You take the Indian diaspora, 30 million strong Indian diaspora, and these are all our ambassadors. And they tell people outside India about the Indian professionalism, Indian ability to work, to coexist peacefully. So these are all, I think, civilizational ethos and values which have always been there. And whether it is at a personal level or a broader level between societies or on fundamental issues, I think our contribution and participation has always been there. And perhaps it's very difficult to find any other country of this size, 1/6 of humanity we just spoke about, a major economy, a major technological power, and such a diverse country which is moving ahead in a democratic setup. So this in itself makes strategic sense for interaction with how others perceive perhaps India and how we can move forward.